with regard to what is going on here at the park, and we welcome the viewership of residents on Channel 26, as well as those who are joining us on Zoom. The Zoom meeting is available on the PAC agenda, and if you wanted to get an email copy of that agenda, you can reach out to Carol Joy Harris, and she will get you onto that. I'd like to introduce the members of the board to you. So starting off with our Vice President, John Hanson. By the way, I'm John Shelfer, or Jay.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. I'm John Hanson, the Vice President and Chair of the MVES Committee. Carol Joy?
I'm Carol Joy Harris, the Secretary of the Board of Directors here.
Steve?
I am Steve Ploker. I am the Treasurer and the Chairman of the Finance Committee.
And Vicki Waddell?
Hi, everyone. I'm Vicki Waddell, and I'm at-large member of the PAC board meetings.
All right. I'd like to call for the approval of the final agenda.
I so move.
May I have a second? Second?
Mhm.
Any comments? Call for approval. All in favor?
Aye.
So 5-0. I'd like to move forward to the public comment portion of the meeting, where if you have anything you'd like to address to the board, we allow a 3-minute limit for those items that are not on the actual agenda. So is there anyone who would like to say something? I see Ellen Jane has her hand up. So Ellen?
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to speak up again about my favorite topic, which is carbon footprint and energy use. And I'm sorry that it's very offensive to a lot of the members of the board and MVEST, but somebody's got to do it. I mean, it just comes from a place of integrity that I feel like, I'm practicing my values, and I'm urging people to be courageous about it. I mean, people do remark to me that they're happy I speak up, but they don't want to put themselves out there on the line. And because, there's somewhat retaliation, but I find that I'm very grateful to Carol Joy and Bill, who both professed publicly that they appreciated or they back up what I'm saying about energy use. I think everyone needs to look at that. There's climate disaster coming, and I don't see the acknowledgement. And right now, I only go into the clubhouse maybe 3 times a week, but now that the thermostats are covered, they are set to 70 degrees air conditioning 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I think that's unreasonable and irresponsible. I think there's a lot of ways that we can. I know that the major thrust of the management is to take care of fire hazards, and it's all worthy, but this is something easy. I know that for 20 to 30 years, PG&E has recommended for cost savings, not only energy savings, but to set thermostats for 68 degrees for heat in the winter and 78 degrees air conditioning in the summer. But that's not the case here. I know people like their comforts, and I do too. I'm not as addicted to them as other people, like the hot tub. I know there's a resident here whose second home is in the sauna room, it seems, her home away from home. But I don't know what to do about that. I'm sure that's a big drain, a big energy use. But I would encourage people to be responsible and try to acknowledge that we're heading for disaster, and every little thing that someone can do to help is appreciated. not the most eloquent speaker, and I don't know what else I was going to say, but I guess that's about 3 minutes. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ellen. Is there anyone else who wants to address the board? Seeing none, I'll move on to the consent calendar. A call for the approval of the September 6th minutes that we've received.
I move to approve the minutes.
I second.
Any comment from any of the board members? Any additions, subtractions, corrections? Residents? Okay, call for approval. All in favor of accepting the minutes? 5-0. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, I should have said, when you said, is there a comment? I just want to put forth on the call here that, again, I have heard from several residents that they really appreciate the detailed, really good work that Terry Beausejour is doing on those minutes. So I'm going on record saying that.
Well, thank you, Carol Joy. I think we all agree with that. So moving forward on to reports. Reports on maintenance and capital projects, including water usage and energy usage by Matt Greenberg. Matt is doing some work at home, and he asked me to give his report. So what I can say is that the ongoing regular maintenance of the park include working on retaining walls, 2 of which are in progress right now, a concrete wall and a wood beam. And he oversees that construction, and apparently everything is going along fine. The drainage, although it's not raining, it's the time to go out and clean the storm sewers and the drainage, and that's also in progress. And the tree service, during the last month, all the palms have been pruned, including several complete removals of trees, and that is finished for the season. And the quarterly sewer snake service is in progress as preventive maintenance. In other words, what we need to do is go through the storm drains and make sure that they're clear of debris and soil so that the water can run out into the V ditch behind Club View and none of the streets or homes get flooded as a result of it. The clubhouse is being the bar in the clubhouse has been renovated, which we've all perhaps noticed, and the countertops are being replaced. The back mirror is being replaced. The top of the bar is being refinished, and the cabinets are being repainted and repaired. The lighting that's going in to that portion of the ballroom is all LED, and we talked about the fact that whenever any lights have to be replaced on the street or in the clubhouse, we're putting in LEDs to cut down on the energy consumption. And Ellen mentioned the temperature in the clubhouse, and he mentioned to me that all of the thermostats now have a locked cover to them, so people cannot go in and willy-nilly adjust them and forget to turn them back down to what they want. They actually have to go through Mark or Greg or Matt to adjust the temperature, and the thermostats in the ballroom are all regulated by a controller, which he possesses, and Marvel is the only other person that has it. So hopefully we will continue to talk to people to make sure that those aren't at a temperature of too low that would interfere with our interest in keeping energy consumption down. water use is actually up for the past month, and he attributed it to the fact that it hasn't rained and it's been so hot. So the water usage over the last month is up a little bit over the previous month, but as you remember, the previous month's water consumption was down almost 10% from the previous year. So it's expected that because of the hot temperatures, maybe the water consumption would have gone up, and it's in fact what happened. The energy consumption, basically, it's very difficult to discover how much energy is being used by individual people in regard to an overall effort to reduce energy consumption. But be that as it may, we all have our fingers crossed that the electric company and the PUC, the Public Utility Commission, will continue to look at the renewal of our infrastructure. So we don't have to, in fact, enter into that. So with that, concludes his report. If you have any questions that I'm able to answer, please come forward with them. Carol Joy.
I have a question. I understood from Matt and also from Matt's remarks in this last echo that we got, I don't know, a week ago, whatever, that in the clubhouse, the temperature at the unit, I don't know, the HVAC unit is on all night, but it's not cooling. It's down to, it's set at a certain temperature, and I don't know what that is.
70.
Pardon me?
70.
Okay, so that in the morning, if it needs to start cooling off again, it doesn't have to start all over, because that uses more energy. So
Correct.
it's, yeah, okay, so I just wanted to add that to what you had to say. And then my other comment is in regard to your last comment about the PUC. Just a reminder to everyone that we have a grant proposal in, and we are waiting to hear back. And we have, during the 2x2, we asked Chris Blunk what the status is, and he is reluctant to push too hard on that for a number of reasons, but we do have our fingers crossed that we will hear back in a positive way about that. We just have to wait. So did you want to add to that, Jay, or correct me?
Sure. I mean, the PUC has asked or informed the public service, Pacific Gas and Electric, to on application renew the infrastructure on the gas and electric in mobile homes. It had been turned over to the individual owners many years ago, and they were given a rebate on their electric bill to maintain that system. Unfortunately, many of the park owners did not do that. And what happened is that this infrastructure has fallen to the point where it's a problem for the people living there. And the PUC, which is a state utility corporation, stepped in and said, well, we want public service, the utility company, Pacific Gas and Electric, to go in and take over that and to renew, if necessary, the infrastructure. So we applied for that some 7 or 8 years ago, and our application was accepted. And it is in a tier, in the sense that the ones that are really in dire need are in the first tier. We are currently in the second tier, and we are lobbying to try and move up into the first tier to get the work done. So basically, what we can do is do our own lobbying work, which we're doing. And the city, if they're approached, could actually join in as well, but they don't really have any direct ability to influence the public service gas and electric. They have their own criteria. But all of us on the PAC board and in management are keeping our fingers crossed to have public service specific gas and electric step in. I used to work for public service in New Jersey. That's why I keep on throwing that out, but it's the Pacific Gas and Electric Company here. So we're working on it and we're keeping our eye on it, and Matt certainly is involved in this on a weekly, if not more basis, to try and get this work started sooner rather than later. I don't know, was that helpful, Carol-Joy?
Yeah, yeah, a lot of detail, and I think people need to keep hearing that. So I know I do.
Okay, is there any other questions? Vicki, did you have a question?
Yes, Jay. Did I hear you correctly that you think that Marvell has keys to the controls in the clubhouse?
Yeah, what Matt said is that they have a controller to regulate those heat
Right.
pumps, and they have it under lock and key someplace. Now,
Right. So because they don't have it, I just wanted to clarify that Marvell doesn't have a key to the controllers.
okay,
They have
so
it control.
all right, so
I don't know who does. Maybe John knows. I don't know, but I don't think Marvell has it. But maybe somebody can comment tonight about who has it, control over it. I understood it's just Matt and the twins.
Well, Matt evidently gave it to someone in
I don't know who it is.
in Marvell, whether it was John or.
Well, there was a party last weekend and nobody could find the keys to the control board. So I don't know which control board they were trying to, I thought it was Havoc.
Well, it's supposedly in a locker somewhere, and it's just a thermostat that affects it. But
Right.
John felt his hand up. Maybe he can clarify.
Maybe he could.
You're on
That
mute.
would be good.
John.
You're muted.
There you go, John. You're off. Nope, you're on. You're on mute, John.
There you go.
Okay, so there was indeed a party last weekend, and we were looking for the thermostat controller, and Sandy Duncan does have one in Marvell. Last weekend there was a memorial, and it was in the 90s. It was 2 weekends ago, I'm sorry. And Sandy Duncan wasn't home. The twins, neither of the twins were home.
No.
I called the clubhouse to get Matt to call me, but nobody returned a call, and it was very hot. And it's actually a very unsatisfactory arrangement, because if Sandy's not there, nobody else is there. Nobody else has it. I called Carolyn Corey. She had no keys at all. I called other people and they didn't answer their phone. So it's an issue that's going to come up again.
John Hanson?
Yes, there may actually be a controller just inside the door of the PAC room. I know there was one there. I just haven't noticed lately.
I don't believe there is anymore.
Okay.
Well, it appears that if someone is renting or using the clubhouse and they feel that they need to have that controller, they have to make arrangements with Matt prior to the event, so that they can either have the temperature they want or be able to control that. So I'll make a note and talk to Matt about that.
Yeah, it seems to me
They're
that
unaware of the temperature that's going to arise when they're renting it.
it would seem to me that if Matt is arranging for when people want to use it to rent it to them, he should inform them about the heating and cooling situation.
Yeah.
Right, so he can just add it to his list of things to talk to people about. There you go.
But it's, excuse me, but it's not actually a matter of Matt informing people. It's a matter of having access to that controller.
Well, yeah,
Right.
that's part of it.
And the only controller, nobody had access to it 2 weekends ago. Nobody in the park had access to it. Sandy wasn't home. The twins weren't home. Matt wasn't here.
Right,
Maybe
but
more
if,
control.
but if Matt informs the people beforehand, you may need this, why don't you get a hold of it? And here's how you get a hold of it. And, you know, it'll be something that we can
When
deal with it.
when
We need more
Sandy
controllers.
has it, she doesn't let it out of her hand. She doesn't give it to anybody.
Yeah, no.
I'm walking around with her and she's controlling the temperature while I'm asking her to turn up the temperature or turn down the temperature. It doesn't leave Sandy's possession because she's scared of having it lost.
Yeah,
And
well,
it's an unsatisfactory situation, that's all.
That's what she's supposed to do in her role as having that controller, but there should be another one that Matt can offer to people that have rented the hall.
There's 5 of them, or 4 or 5 of them. Each one of the heat pumps has a controller that works for all of them.
That's right.
I believe one of them's gone missing already.
I think this is an issue that is solved without taking up more time here. Matt will be informed, or when he watches this meeting, that it's an issue, and I'm sure Matt can handle this.
Thank you.
Agreed.
Any other questions about Matt's report?
Ellen Jane has her hand up.
Ellen?
Yes, I'd like to clarify about Matt's statement in the echo about the mini split air conditioning and heating systems. I assume that's the heat pumps in the ballroom.
Correct.
That it's more efficient and less costly to leave them on to keep the air cool than to start with a warm or hot room. Well, how cool does it have to be? And by the way, in the last 2 weeks, I think they've been turned off from my little visits to the clubhouse. But I'm talking about the thermostats in the ballroom and the fireside room and the library, which are set to a constant 70 degrees, air conditioning, even when it's 55 outside, 60. And when it's 60 outside, I have been in the clubhouse and those are still churning out cold air at 70 degrees. And does anyone think that's reasonable or responsible to have them running like that? I mean, why not set it at, if you don't want to go with PG&E, set it at 75 or something for constant temperature for air conditioning. And then of course, in the winter, it should be lower. Another topic is the bathrooms, because for years I've said, oh gosh, the men never turn off the light. And in the women's room, there's a placard saying, please turn off the lights. And I brought that up with Matt and he said, yeah, I'll get a placard. And now there's this new rule that the bathrooms have to be lighted. Has anyone ever looked at the light bulbs in those bathrooms? They're ancient and they're like such high. And like in the ladies' room, I think there's like maybe 12 going across. Well, guess who's unscrewed every second and third one, because there's plenty of light in there. But to have them running on all day is kind of nonsense. Turn them on when you need it. Turn them off when you don't need it, when you're leaving. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Any other comments? Okay, so let's move on to Steve Closher and the PAC Treasury Report and the Finance Committee Report.
Things are pretty steady. The PAC petty cash account is still at $2,725. We almost never spend any money. The annual PAC budget, which is part of the park general ledger and general funds. The PAC annual budget is $4,000, and over the first 2 months of our fiscal year, since July 1st, we have spent $825. So we're a little over budget, but not much at all. Moving on to the Finance Committee.
Steve, excuse me, are you pounding on your desk or something? Because there's something making a lot of background noise, and I'm having a hard time hearing you. Are you thumping your desk, or I'm sorry, but
Steve, it sounds like your microphone is right next to your paper. So when you rustle your papers, the microphone picks it up.
I will not touch the paper. I'll just read it while it sits on the desk.
Okay, thank you.
Did that stop the noise?
Yep,
Yeah,
Oh, good. Wow. Amazing.
that's progress. That's the important thing.
So once again, because of all that tree trimming and tree removal that was done, our debt service ratio is way off. But if we adjust those items to where they would be spread out over 12 months, it puts our DSCR up around 2.03. And as you know, it doesn't really matter until we get to the end of the fiscal year. That's the only time the DSCR really counts. And by then it'll all be moderated and be right in place because Matt keeps us on budget and the budget provides for a proper DSCR. End of report. Any questions?
Any questions from the residents? Okay, seeing none, thank you. And we'll move on to the 2x2 meeting that we had with the city. Carol Joy and I attended. And basically, with the retirement of Kate Wan, not a lot of progress had been done with the items that are on our agenda, but we were able to, excuse me.
we were able to meet with Chris Bunk, and Matt was also there, and a woman named Natalie Moline, who is from the finance department, I believe. And she's the handles the billing, for instance, for Marin Valley. Chris Blanc being the manager of public works of the Public Works Department. I'm not sure what his exact title is, but he's the Public Works Manager. Are you back?
So,
with us, Jay?
one of the things that we're all concerned about is the rules and regs. And again, Chris said that he would, since Kate has left, he would pick that up and he would now make an attempt to talk to the legal people and to the political side of the city to see if we couldn't move that project along. So no real progress yet, except that Chris has decided to take more responsibility in moving that project along. Then the other important thing is that the infrastructure report that he had commissioned that will give the city a better idea of the needs for Marin Valley Mobile Country Club going forward in terms of renewing infrastructure, changing out the clubhouse, doing any major work so that this work could be budgeted. That report is now in his possession, and he is going over it, and he is going to pass that on to Matt for his comment, and then hopefully we'll get a chance to see it. We still don't have a date for the starting of Pump Station 1, and that's basically because they're waiting to get all the equipment in hand before actually starting the work, so that we don't have the street dug up or the area where they're putting in the pump station dug up without actually having the equipment to put in there. So as soon as that all is in hand, the contractor is going to go forward. Hopefully there'll be enough time before the rainy season to actually get the work done. Otherwise, the problem is that it may have to be delayed until next year, which is unacceptable for many reasons, because we don't want to run into a condition where the pump station isn't functioning. And we have to use emergency services to deal with it. So they're looking at it, and hopefully things will move along.
May I just interject that the issue there, according to Chris, is supply chain. Everything's been ordered and should have been here and isn't here. And so they don't want to start digging up the ground until they have all the stuff.
Correct.
So, yeah, so it's not, I mean, everything's ready to go. The paperwork's all done, the contractor's ready, and they don't have the pipes, you know, the stuff. So,
Okay, any comments from the board?
That makes sense because I noticed on the first one they did down here by Club View, there were a lot of delays. And that's sort of okay because this is out of the way and it was not cause a problem, but that one's right in the center of the park. And delays and having it opened up for a long time and stuff everywhere, that would be a real drag.
yeah, and Chris said he doesn't want to open it up. Well, again, you know, in the middle of the rainy season and have it be so muddy that the work can't continue and then you're on and off and on and off. He said, I'm not going to do that. So we'll see. Well, again, fingers crossed.
Okay, so let's move on to project planning with John Hanson and myself. I mean, basically, not having the funding from the budget kind of restricts the projects that we would like to put forward. And with the infrastructure report coming through Chris Blanc and eventually to management here, then we'll have a better idea of where we can start moving forward on these projects. On the actual maintenance of the park, basically, we sort of bounce ideas off of management and the city whenever we possibly can, and there's no change or nothing that we're interjecting that hasn't already been spoken of and been approved by both management and the PAC board in terms of pushing things forward. So I don't really have much more to add. John, do you have anything to add?
Not really, I don't think anything that hasn't already been said about, you know, just a very complex issue, and there's planning and a report and financing. All these things are balls in the air that are being juggled, and they change color as the years go by. So it's kind of tough to nail it down to a specific project without a very determined effort really on the city's part. You know, they're working at it, but it's not a real determined effort.
Steve, you had a comment?
Yeah, is the solar panel installation still on the table as a consideration?
Yes, it is. And basically where that stands is that the roof has to be repaired first. And once the roof is repaired, then we can move forward with putting solar panels on the roof of the clubhouse. And when we consider that, there are areas around the clubhouse that might be able to be used in terms of gaining more solar power from the installation of a solar array close to the clubhouse. And because we actually own, when I say we, Marin Valley Mobile Country Club actually owns the area around the clubhouse, that would certainly be under consideration. But the first hurdle is to repair the roof. And there was a point where we thought that perhaps the roof installation would actually fall under the solar project. And apparently from reading the law, that's no longer an issue, that you don't or you cannot use repairs to the roof to be inclusive in the solar project. And when we queried the management in the city about the possible grants. They don't want to raise that issue until actually it becomes a project. So since there's no income that is taxable with Marin Valley Mobile Country Club, the state and federal rebates aren't really allowable for us. The only possible help will be from grants, and we won't be able to see that until we actually start looking at the financing of those projects and the possibility. In other words, the city doesn't want to look at that until it's actually a project. But we want to do it. We want to make the clubhouse energy independent. We have the generators, but it would be great if alongside of that we could have a separate grid, so we could supply our own power to the clubhouse 24/7 in the event of an emergency. Any other questions about what we've been talking about from the board or from residents? Okay, seeing none, why don't we move on to ambulance and John Hanson.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. Yeah, what MVS is doing right now and has been doing for a while, and will be doing for another at least couple of months. So what we're doing is going through and revising, overhauling our management plans for specific kinds of incidents. For example, what we're working on right now is wildfire and domestic fire. So we have management plans that cover the full range of considerations, including prevention and mitigation, and what sort of alerts and alarms are involved, and preparedness. All of these sorts of issues we're looking at for each of the incident types. So at any rate, we're working on wildfire and domestic fire, which means, like house fires right now. So we have completed so far power failures, wildfire smoke, and high heat incidents. What we have remaining to do is earthquakes, wind, public health emergencies, rain, medical emergencies, and crime. Now, for MVS, it doesn't mean that we're going to be responding to these. By and large, we're not. Basically, what we're doing, though, is we're addressing the prevention, mitigation, preparedness aspects for residents. For example, with a medical emergency, there's no time or purpose really for MVS to respond to a medical emergency. For example, somebody's falls down unconscious. So our job there then would be rather to train the residents to do that response, because MVS is not really a job for MVS to do. MVS is not trained and is not really capable to do that sort of thing. It's hitting that time, for example, right between the initial incident, somebody falling down unconscious, and the time that the first responders get there. Seconds matter. There's no time to mobilize MVest and get stuff going. The residents themselves have to be able to step up and take care of things like that. So it's just an example of the sort of things that we're addressing along the way. So in that particular example, then what we need to do is to arrange for training programs in the park for residents. They need to be fairly frequently, because if we don't practice it like first responders do, 3 months after the fact, we may have forgotten. So to be useful, to be really useful, we probably need trainings every 3 months. I don't know how that's going to happen, but it's we'll put it out there and see if we can meet it. So really, that's the sort of thing that we're doing right now, and we're having a meeting next Monday, the 10th at 5 p.m. And then we have a major event coming up next Thursday, the 13th. Open to everybody. You can bring your hunger if you wish, because we'll have pizza and drinks to feed it. But what we're going to have here is a Get Ready Marin. It's a all hazards presentation. We've done it here before. And actually, I think many years ago, I think I did one. I don't remember. But at any rate, this is being presented by Terry Fisher. And it's sponsored locally by the Novato Police. That's where Terry works out of Novato Police Department. But anyway, that's going to be this Thursday, the 13th, at 6 p.m. in the clubhouse. Is that right, John? 6?
Yes, John.
5:30.
Oh, 5:30. That's right. Yeah, we changed that to 5:30. Exactly. Great. Which was what I wanted to do, so I'm glad we did it. Okay, great. That covers everything I want to cover for them then for MVS right now. Are there any questions that I can field? Yes, Anila. Unmute. There you go.
There we go. Am I on? Okay. Last Friday at 9 o'clock, I got a call from a friend in the park. Emergency, take me to emergency. We were there in moments. I called he was bleeding. He was coughing up blood. I called the ambulance. It only took 10 minutes to get there, which felt like 45. But when the EMTs came, they asked, who's his next of kin? Does he have a DNR? And what medicines is he on? And how old is he? If that dear man had made himself a vial of life, I would have been able to tell them. Is there a way we can revive that vial of life project we did back in 2014?
At the present time, I don't know if I'll look into that. It was a good program. I don't think the fire district is promoting that right now, which is a shame, really, because I think it was a good program. The problem is most people don't keep their information up. John, do you have some input?
Yeah, when I last talked to the police, which was 6 months ago, they told me that the fire department doesn't promote it, but they still do. The second person in, the first person looks at the person having an emergency. The second person in goes to the fridge and looks for the vial of life, and that's still standard operating procedure, apparently. So although they're not promoting it, it's still working, and we do have about 30 vial of lives at Invest, so we can distribute those.
And
yeah,
I looked
we
it
can
up.
also make more.
Yeah, I looked it up today, and you buy the stickers and you print out the form. And what Sandy Wargo had done years ago is she bought these cute little pill bottles for us to roll it up and put it in. But we don't really actually need it. All we need is the sticker for the front door and the form to fill out. And then we can put it in our own pill bottles.
John?
There are magnets to go with it that you stick on your fridge, and a
Not
sticker
anymore.
that goes on the outside of your house.
No, we
Not
just make them.
anymore.
We can make those ourselves.
Yeah.
Very simple.
Vicky?
I had an incident in our home not too many months ago where the fire department had to come. And the first thing they saw was the sticker on the refrigerator.
Mhm.
John's absolutely right. Second in command said, you have the vial of life. I handed it to him. He says, this is great. So
Yeah.
yes, I really encourage everybody to reinstate this program. It's fabulous. At least where the paramedics are concerned.
Well,
Yeah.
that's right. And all of
Yeah.
that will be part of the medical emergency management plan that we come up with. We'll come up with a sort of a summary draft. Then we'll commandeer somebody to sort of head up that particular unit of MFest, and then that unit leader and other people in the group then can flesh that out, present it to the MFest steering committee, and we go from there. So that's going to be basically our progress.
John,
process.
just because it's appropriate, you know, every year, somewhere in the neighborhood of 5+% of the homes get renewed or purchased by outsiders.
Mhm.
I think perhaps maybe what we ought to do is make sure that the portfolio that Matt gives to the incoming residents has that information sheet in it, because new residents coming in who haven't been schooled in this file of life probably, won't be able to access that kind of information right away. But if Matt
Mhm.
hands it to them when they, walk in the door, then it would be something that they could consider and, maybe follow through on it.
Oh, sure.
Or
Yeah,
if the greeters do,
yeah, that's
Casey
right.
and all of her
And
folks.
actually Irma has taken on that project. So
Oh, good.
that's
Oh, good.
one of the things that we're trying to deal with as well. Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments for Invest? John Feld, HOL.
Well, we have our meeting tomorrow night. Everybody is welcome. It'll be in the fireside room. And the issues that we're dealing with, well, first of all, you might have read in your recent Echo that we have a competition for the prettiest and most entertaining Christmas decorations outside of your house, outside the front of your house, not the back. And it is, irregardless of your religion or your, I don't think it's going to be political, but it's going to be just a friendly opportunity to decorate your home. And we might encourage people to actually walk around with us when we judge it. And we'll be giving out prizes for the best house in different categories. Secondly, our dues have just gone out. You've probably seen it in your mailbox today, but maybe it's still in the tubes. It's not dues, it's donations. And we're also asking for donations for the yard maintenance, what used to be the humanitarian fund, because we've just about depleted all the cash in that fund by maintaining fire safe and clean yards. We're always looking for new yard maintenance people. They tend to come and go, and they've been going of recent. So we're looking for new ones to come. What else? We have a new play. Vicky has written a new play,
Yay.
and we're very excited about the play. And it's a musical, and we're looking for people to participate. Singers and not singers, musicians and not musicians. I think Steve is a given because he turned out to be a star musician. But we're looking for, there's about 20 people, I think. Is that right, Vicky?
More like 28 cast of characters. There's a
28.
lot of
So
roles to fill.
we haven't got them all filled. So
Oh,
get out your acting chops and come down and contribute. It'll be a lot of fun, and it's going to happen in October. Is that right? I mean,
No. but the play
spring.
itself is in May.
May.
But the auditions are in October.
Okay. And lastly, Marval has asked us to, HOL, to take over decorating for Christmas because Larry is not capable of doing it anymore, and they feel new blood is warranted. And although we will vote on it tomorrow, there's been a general consensus by the movers and shakers in HOL that they want to do it. And that will just be decorating the Christmas trees inside the ballroom and in the foyer. And there will be the usual creche and candles and what have you, menorahs and things. And we're just doing that to help Marval because they are caught short. That's it, really. Questions?
I have a question for you, John. What's the criteria for the gardeners? Several of us have really good gardeners, but we don't know, what are they going to be paid, or how did they apply for the job to do the work around the park?
They're going to be paid. We're paying them $30 an hour individually, and we're hoping to get more funds in this fundraiser, but Peggy Hill is organizing it, and this is just additional to Matt's also doing some yard cleanup in the house opposite you, for instance, Vicky. He's doing that, but when we have the funds, we will do it for the people who can't afford it, or the people who are incapable of doing it for one reason or another. It's not just general, HOL will look after your yard. It's just for as needed.
Thank you, John. Any other questions from the board or from residents? Okay, seeing none. Moving on to Marvel. Carolyn Corey was on for a while and then she seems to have gone away. Vicki, you gonna pick up?
Yes, I have a report from Carolyn Corey. Marvel now has 7 residents that have completed the training course to be a responsible beverage server. That's extraordinary, I think. Marvel is looking forward to having a pub event soon to celebrate the completion of the bar renovations. Black Cat is October 29. This is important because it's Marvel's fundraiser to cover the cost of the annual liquor license. Volunteers to bake for the Fabuloso bake sale are needed. So if you feel so inclined, please call her. For further information, check the Echo and the sign-up sheet on the counter in the clubhouse. Thanksgiving dinner event will be on November 19th. Reservations will not be accepted prior to November 1st, but you're encouraged to sign up early as this event is always a sellout. And that's the word from Carolyn.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Moving on. There is no old business. There is no new business. And the determination of the next PAC board meeting will be the first Tuesday in November, which is November 1st. Does anyone have a conflict to being here next November 1st for the PAC board meeting? Carol, Joy?
No, I will be returning from out of town on that, well, the night before, which means that the agenda needs to be formulated by someone else, either John or Jay. And so I'm hereby asking residents to send any agenda items to either, well, anyone else but me, John or Jay or Steve or Vicky, so that if they are appropriate to be put on the agenda, that can happen, because I probably won't be responding to my emails. So please send any items to anyone else.
Yeah, Carol Joy, if in fact you get any of those, just forward those emails to John Hanson or myself.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I have, had the full mailing list. Thank you for helping me keep that up. So, yeah, I can put that agenda together if it's, especially if it's as simple as they have been the last couple of weeks, then
Right.
last couple of months, I should say, then, yeah, then that's fine. I'll be able to do that and get it out.
Okay, yeah, the agenda for this month, it was the same as last month, except for the addition of 3 words, and that was in Matt's report and energy usage. Um, Before we added water usage and now we've added energy usage. So anyway,
And
it
you
should,
advance the dates. Yeah.
yeah, unless there are any items to be put on, well, it wouldn't be old business, it would be new business if there's anything. Yeah. There you go.
There you go. Okay, so thank you for being here, and we'll see you on November 1st at 6 o'clock in the evening.